to On One Radio, the talk show podcast station, bringing you the current events and issues. All information and resources are based on the opinions of the host unless otherwise noted. This podcast may contain some quotations, images, and/or excerpts from copyrighted material. These uses fall well within the copyright doctrine of fair use. This is the News Report, and I am your host, Tony. Welcome to all my new listeners and all of my day ones. This is your Let's Talk News Report. And today we will be talking about, the change of venue request in the George Floyd case. Now we know in cases like this, they're going to try all sorts of things to pretty much win. And that's either side, and that's pretty much how that goes. But this change of venue request was requested by the former Minneapolis police officers that are being charged in George Floyd's death. So, did they get it? Well, here's how that went. Now, a judge rejected defense requests to move the trial of 4 former Minneapolis police officers charged in the George Floyd case. Now, it makes sense that a judge reject the defense. I mean, it makes perfect sense. And I believe, in my opinion, it was the right call. Now, not only did the judge deny the request, but the judge also ordered that all 4 will be tried together instead of separately, which also makes perfect sense because, you did it together, and that's where you did it when you did it together. So, first off, I'm going to deny that request and also make sure that you are in this together completely. You were in it together then when you did it, so you're going to suffer the consequences together. And it makes perfect sense. Now, who was the judge? Hennepin County Judge Peter Cahill ruled after defense attorneys had argued that pretrial publicity had made it impossible for the 4 men to get a fair trial in Minneapolis. They also cited a September 11 hearing in which the men and their attorneys were confronted by angry protesters outside the courthouse, raising safety issues. Defense lawyers argued that witnesses could be intimidated and jurors could be affected by chants from a crowd outside. But Cahill said he was not convinced that moving the trial would improve security and that he believes the jury can be protected from outside influences. Now, no corner of the state of Minnesota has been shielded from pretrial publicity regarding the death of George Floyd. Because of that pervasive media coverage, a change of venue is unlikely to cure the taint of potential prejudicial, my mouth is dry, pretrial publicity. Cahill said he was willing to revisit the issue if circumstances warrant. Moving the trial away from Minneapolis to a less diverse area also likely would affect the makeup of the jury. Though the judge didn't address that issue in a separate order, however, he said the names of the jurors would be kept confidential and that jurors will be fully sequestered during deliberations and escorted to the courthouse as a group. The judge also ruled that the trial can be televised and streamed live, saying cameras will ensure the defendant's right to a public trial and the public's right to access during this time when spacing restrictions due to COVID-19 leave little to no room for spectators. Defense attorneys also argued that the men should face separate trials, as each officer tried to diminish his own role in Floyd's arrest by pointing fingers at the others, but Cahill rejected that too, saying the complications of separate trials were too great and that trying the officers together would ensure that the jury understands all of the evidence and the complete picture of Floyd's death. And it was also stated that, and it would allow this community, this state, and the nation to absorb the verdicts for the four defendants as at once, he concluded. Cahill said the critical evidence is the same for all men, and no one trial would keep witnesses from having to testify multiple times. Now, Floyd, a black man in handcuffs, died May 25th after Derek Chauvin, who is white, pressed his knee against Floyd's neck for several minutes, even after he said he couldn't breathe. Floyd's death sparked protests in Minneapolis and beyond, and led to a nationwide reckoning on race. Now, all four officers were fired. They are scheduled to stand trial in March. Chauvin is charged with unintentional second-degree murder and second-degree manslaughter. The three other former officers, Thomas Lane, Jay Koenig, I might have screwed that up, and Tayo Thao, are charged with aiding and abetting both counts. Tom Plunkett, Koenig's attorney, said in a statement that he is reviewing Cahill's orders. My goal is to ensure that a fair trial occurs for Mr. Koenig. We are happy to have the orders so we can start preparing for our trial and presenting the truth in front of a jury, he stated. Defense attorneys for Chauvin and Lane had no comment on the judge's rulings. Thao's attorney did not return any messages seeking comment. Now, Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison, whose office is prosecuting the case, praised the rulings as another significant step forward in the pursuit of justice for Floyd and the community. So did Ben Crump and Antonio Ramanucci, attorneys for Floyd's family. They said black defendants rarely are granted change of venue requests and that the officers should rightly face a jury of their peers in the city where this tragedy took place. Who can argue with that? Like, seriously, who can argue with that? It's fair. It's truly fair. So if you have any feelings, any comments, or you just would like to share your opinion on the matter, or if you have anything new to add to this, don't be shy. Speak up, be heard, comment, like, share, respond, give feedback. And if you're listening to this on YouTube, definitely comment in the box below. Let me know how you feel about this. Are you happy about this? Do you agree or disagree? Let me know. And if you're following or not following on social media, follow On One Radio on social media. All the names there is Tony On One. You find Tony On One, you find On One Radio. This has been your news report. Thank you. And keep protesting when there's a need to protest. You have been listening to On One Radio, the talk show podcast station, bringing you the current events and issues. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my news report. I wish you the best